Hi, I'm the Scrub and you're here for one reason. The hunt. Simpler times for easy experience. Well, this seems like it's going to be a walk in the park. I'll just grab my axe and grab my... Where are my healing abilities? What do you mean they're on strike? Is this about the heal bots again? Tell Yoshi P that's not my fault. Time to learn about the Great Hunt. Simplified. I will need to start by mentioning a few things. 1. Rathalos will not have any ground marker indicators or cast bars for this fight. It is all based on visual tells that Rathalos will perform. And 2. Rathalos does not have an aggro meter. You will need to pay attention to the party list to see who Rathalos is targeting at any point in the fight. Tanks can provoke as much as they want, but Rathalos is going to chomp whoever he wants to chomp. To see who he changes his aggro to, just look for which player has the A in the bottom left corner of their icon in the party list. If his left leg moves forward in the hitbox and he gets flames in his mouth while looking at the aggroed player, he will swipe at a small conal AoE in front and behind him with his mouth and tail respectively. To avoid this, you'll need to quickly move to Rathalos' side. It will look behind itself on its right side. This will cleave its right side with a tail swipe in a 180-degree semicircle and then repeat it with its left side completing the circle. To avoid this attack, he can stay in melee range and move to the left side of Rathalos as the first cleave happens, then quickly dodge to the opposite side inside his hitbox to avoid the second tail swipe. You can also break away from Rathalos for a few seconds as the cleave isn't that large either. Rathalos will turn to the aggroed player with his head lowered and wings spread. He will then charge towards this player in a straight line. Anyone hit within this straight line will be knocked back and have the chance of being stunned for a few seconds. If he turns to face you and you are far away, just run to the side of wherever he is facing to dodge the charge. One person will get a red marker over their head and a small AoE around them. They will be hit by a D&D wizard's favorite spell, Fireball. This will inflict an Assunerable Burns debuff on the affected player. This player will need to move away from the group and not let anyone else get hit by Fireball. If he lowers his head but keeps his wings raised, he will breathe a conal AoE of fire and flap his wings while doing a small jump back. This will cleave everyone in front of him and inflict them with an Assunerable Burns debuff and a huge knockback. You'll just need to move as quickly as you can to the other side or behind Rathalos to dodge this. It will also roar, which is a room-wide AoE. When you get Rathalos below 80%, several animals will run into the arena. These can be picked up by the tank and they will perform their own AoE attacks. The sheep will have a small AoE around them. If you get caught in this, you will be put to sleep. This debuff is Assunerable, but you can also be woken up from having any attack hit you. The ram will have a narrow straight line AoE, and the curl will have a large conal AoE directed towards a random party member. If you get hit by this, it will give you an Assunerable paralysis debuff. The attacks from Rathalos will also damage the animals that spawn in. Eventually, Rathalos will move to the middle of the room and roar, stunning everyone in place for several seconds. A mammoth, Gorilla, will charge into Rathalos with a straight line AoE and knock it to the ground. If you're in this AoE, you'll still be hit by it. Gorilla will then become targetable, which will need to be picked up by a tank and dragged away from the party. Burst down Gorilla as fast as possible, but also don't stand with the tank, as Gorilla will perform a conal AoE tank buster called Cleave. Someone, preferably the off-tank but really anyone can do it, will need to interact with a foothold that spawns in front of Rathalos. This person will be launched up to Rathalos and have a constant active time maneuver. They will need to keep pressing buttons for as long as they can to keep the bar filled up. And just in case for healers, this player will also have a constant bleeding debuff called Drubbed while they are on the back of Rathalos. Once Gorilla has been defeated, the player on the back of Rathalos will be thrown off. This is where everyone will need to get behind the carcass of the now dead mammoth. Rathalos will scorch the earth of the arena with its ultimate King of the Skies. Anyone who isn't behind the mammoth will understand the meaning of well done flambe. If the player fails the active time maneuver or Gorilla is not defeated in time, then there won't be a safe spot and it will wipe the party. All players will gain the debuff of Scalebound. This will render all heals done by players completely useless. If you try to cast a healing spell or an ability that will normally heal you, like Soul Eater, Curing Waltz, or Second Wind, it will no longer heal you. If you need to heal yourself, you will need to look at the duty action button, which will show that you have health potions, which will instantly give you back all of your health. But you will need to use them sporadically as you only have 10 of them. I will also remind healers that Asuna still works, so make sure that all of the Assunerable debuffs get cleansed. Oh, you're gonna cleanse a lot of debuffs, aren't you? Rathalos will now be in the air and have a buff of vulnerability down. There will also be a bar labeled down gauge. When this bar fills up, Rathalos will be brought down from the sky and lose his vul down for a short time. His tail will also become targetable. If you destroy the tail, it will severely damage Rathalos and cut off the tail from the rest of his body. Rathalos will still not have an aggro meter and will perform the following tells. If you are close to Rathalos, it will cast either one of two different conal AoEs in front of him that will inflict you with a burns debuff and knock you back with a chance to stun you. To avoid both of these attacks, you'll need to quickly move to the side of Rathalos if he turns to face you. If you're far away and he turns to face you, he will more than likely charge towards you, similar to phase 1. If you get hit by this, it will be a knockback, a stun for a few seconds, and an Assunerable poison debuff. To avoid this, just move to the side of whichever whichever way he is facing to dodge the attack. Fireball is now also replaced with a stack marker. Group up to share the damage. Everyone who is in the stack marker will get an incinerable burns debuff. This will also create a lingering puddle of fire where the player with the stack marker gets hit. So if you get the stack marker, it's best to go towards the outside wall to avoid dropping the lingering puddle in the middle of the arena. If you run through the lingering puddle, you will get an additional burns debuff for as long as you're in the puddle. DPS, remember to use the limit break when Rathalos is downed. Rathalos will continue the cycle of mechanics and being downed until it has been defeated. Congratulations, you have defeated Rathalos. My name is The Scrub. Thank you for watching.